Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. This is going to be a pretty beefy video, so I suggest you grab a drink and get ready for this. It is the Q&A which has been held on Reddit, or I guess the AMA, the Ask Me Anything over on competitive Overwatch Reddit. And we've got the developers and they discuss quite a lot of issues here. So we've got things like what's going on with the rank system, which is a big question. We've got hero reworks, we've got details on Cassidy, what the next hero is potentially going to do, and a bunch of other stuff. Things like hero design, philosophy, loads of stuff to cover in this video. So let's just get stuck into this. Are there currently any updates you could give us on a Cassidy rework, updates to his kit? It was stated on Twitter that the team ultimately wants more utility for him. The buffs this recent patch helped him a ton in damage, but there are still complaints about his grenade being awful to play with and against. Are there possibilities for his flashbang to come back? Thanks. And Alec says this. This is something we are actively working on and have tinkered with iterations internally. The overall goal here is to bring back some lost synergy in Cassidy's kit. Found the hammer losing some of its ease of use, for example. Magnetic Grenade is rather flat in what it does, and while some abilities can be in this space, Cassidy's kit already has a lot of simplicity, making Magnetic Grenade a prime candidate for adjustments. We won't be in full stun mode like Flashbang, but are looking at ways to push Magnetic Grenade into an ability that either enables Cassidy to line up more shots or provide newfound utility. So this looks like there may be some sort of a stun component with the grenade, potentially, to allow you to line up shots easier. Now, there could be completely crazy stuff here, like if someone gets hit with a grenade, then your shots almost sort of home in on them. Don't quote me on that being a change, because that would be absolutely terrible. I've kind of got that movie Wanted in my head, you know, where they bend the bullets, like the grenade blows upon them and then you just need to sort of fire near them and the bullets will hit them. That would be absolutely stupid. So yeah, this though is probably good news, because Magnetic Grenade is a bit stupid. Like the amount of Genjis I've been killing with Magnetic Grenade and all that kind of stuff, it's not great. And killing Mercy, and it seems to have like a massive range on Mercy. If you throw it at Mercy when she uses the super jump from Guardian Angel, it will just follow her. It's really quite bad. Anyway, Cassidy rework is coming. It's actively being worked on, and this is something we're going to see fairly soon, which I think is a good thing, because he does seem quite dominant in the game at the moment, especially when it comes to DPS. Is the quicker patch schedule, thank you, relegating the experimental card to history? What's the most insane change to a hero you've tried out internally? Now, Blizzard responds to this with Josh, the lead balance designer, and he says, the experimental card was much more useful in the past when the patches were further apart, months versus weeks. The turnaround time to have it patched and reacted to in between releases means it isn't really feasible as a testing for upcoming live patches sort of thing. Though hopefully we'll try to find some fun uses for it again in the future outside of just patch previews. The most polarizing changes are usually during the hero prototype or rework phase, rather than anything for live balance. There have been a lot. The ones that immediately come to mind are Sombra Hack reducing max health for a minute, Wrecking Ball knocking down enemies as he rolls over. That would be amazing. And Diva having an ability to tether and drag enemies with her mech, launching them tethered to her ult was hilarious and mean. I mean, that must be amazing. We need to see a hero with that in the future. That would be incredible. But yeah, experimental card is basically gone the way of the dodo, just because they update the game faster now. But it would be nice to see some stuff on experimental. Like, I mean, just go back to throwing crazy hero concept work on it and things like that, obviously for heroes that are already released. I think that would be kind of fun. But yeah, it is back in the game though, isn't it? Like when you do click on the play card, it does come up, doesn't it? Experimental. So I don't know, maybe they're going to do something with it, but yeah, don't expect it to come back sort of the way it did in the past. Can you show unmirrored win rates for all heroes across all ranks? I always like seeing that data, even though it's rarely shown. And Alec responds to this and says, one of the things we're currently working on is bringing the community into the fold more on the data we are seeing. We want to inform our players as best we can in order to have better discussions around balance changes and the reasons behind them. That said, we don't want to be in a place where we publish all current live data, as that can have a very unwanted meta effects. If players feel stuck playing meta heroes at times, having official live data could only further cement those sorts of feelings. Even if players can have success on a wide range of heroes, Data only tells part of the story when considering the experience of playing with or against a hero. So what y'all will continue to see are some data shared in live streams, retrospectives that tell the story of hero performance over a season, and quick updates on the top performers in a particular meta. Hopefully, these initiatives start to spark more fruitful conversations surrounding hero balance. We'll also look at new ways to share general data around win rates in the future. So, you know, I think the thing to take away from this is at least they're thinking about this, and this seems to be a bit of a sort of a prerogative that they've got at the moment, which is we want to try and give more data to the player base at large, which I think is fine. Obviously, it will still be curated. They're never going to give us complete live access to, like, they're not just going to give us like an open API so we can just download all the data. That's never going to happen. But yeah, it's good news. This is more data. It is good because it allows us to understand some of the changes, I think, a little bit easier at times. Hi, and thank you for the opportunity. I have 2 questions. Is it still planned for Moira to get some of utility/soft rework, or are you happy with the way she currently is? I remember reading or hearing somewhere around Overwatch 2 release that there are still plans for her to get utility. Do you think that Mercy changes to be more specific Guardian Angel cooldown nerf was a good or bad change? You said multiple times that you don't want a core part of heroes, kits and playstyles to be changed with buffs and nerfs. So Mercy cooldown nerf was a really big one, and it wasn't received well by Mercy players, mostly because they think it made her feel clunky and is not synergizing well with the rest of her kit. Do you agree with this? Once again, thank you. And Alec responds with, I'll answer the first question here. We'll cover the Mercy questions in another reply. The Moira conversation can be tricky as she offers a sought-out playstyle for many support players, but she still lacks the utility we want in the support role. With the necrotic orb changes in the beta, it broke Moira's flow and pushed her into a passive direction. So there's some things we want to keep intact with any future changes. Moira still having this identity of being able to dish out damage, though maybe tuned down just a tad, and remain a comfort pick for many players, as well as preserving her current flow. It's a tough challenge, so we will see where we end up. We'll share more here as things develop. So on the Moira rework, again, it's interesting. I think Necrotic Orb wasn't too bad, but again, as they say, that sort of did promote defensive play because you were sort of playing around Necrotic Orb when it was available to use it. Obviously, they got rid of that and it didn't make it into the live game. The Moira we've got now, I mean, I think he touches on it quite well there. It's a comfort pick, and I've got to be honest, it basically is a comfort pick for me, the Moira. You know, if I'm playing Ana or if I'm playing even Zen or anything, or even Kiriko, if I want to chill but carry on playing Overwatch, I'll just play Moira. no, okay, maybe you shouldn't be able to just play a hero and chill. You know, you should always be on and going for it. But yeah, Moira's got that kind of sort of chill thing about her, hasn't she? So they kind of want to preserve that. So I guess that's okay. I don't know. But yeah, stay tuned for more Moira rework information in the future. Any info on Season 4's new hero? We know they're a support, of course, but is there any other sneak peek we can get? Gonna have to wait a little longer, but I'll echo something Aaron said earlier, that the next hero will have really exciting ways of interacting with your team. Can't wait to share more soon. Okay, so this has kind of been teased before a little bit, with this new hero having some sort of a new way of interacting with your team. Again, this could be literally anything. This could even be like the Diva example that was given earlier on with the reworks when they were developing the heroes. Maybe this hero can like latch onto your team and launch them. I don't know. That would be ridiculous, and there's no way they would allow a hero to take control of another hero on the same team because you could abuse the hell out of it. Anyway, yeah, this could be anything really, but new abilities are, well, yeah, that's what I want to see. There's been a bit of criticism in the past of Overwatch having recycled abilities on heroes, and yeah, we could talk about that for a while, but I'm not going to, so don't worry about it. But yeah, this is good news, good, fresh, new abilities. That's what we want to see. And of course, we do know it's a support because, well, we know the only new heroes coming this year are supports from now onwards. Now, this question made me laugh. Why are Orisa and Junkrat so easy to play and yet get so much value out of their kits, and yet Reinhardt and Wrecking Ball are hard to play with much less value? Well, I'm going to be honest here, Mr. Jellycar. Reinhardt is absolutely sick at the moment. If you play Rein super aggressive, you get so much value out of him. Like, and I don't think it's too difficult to do because I can kind of do it. Wrecking Ball is a bit different. You need to be highly specialized to play Wrecking Ball. Anyway, Blizz Test responds to this and says, every character in the game is going to get varying amounts of value at varying time investments. Some characters, like Wrecking Ball, require a lot more investment in to start getting large amounts of value from. A player gets less value at the start because they're being constantly exposed to new situations and aren't going to confidently deal with them. As the player experiences more and learns from their mistakes, they start getting more and more value. I love getting value. Other characters get a lot of value at the start, but time investment doesn't necessarily reward as much value as value increases as others. Not every character's value increases over time is linear. Mercy gets a lot of value from new players because the ease of using her Caduceus staff, but the value for time investment will fall off fast unless players dedicate themselves to mastering her movement and positioning. We think it's important to have characters that have varying value curves for difficulty to serve different players. So many people who never played FPSs or even video games before got into Overwatch because of characters like Mercy. On the flip side, many players love devoting themselves to difficult or complex heroes, and we wouldn't be able to create rewarding experiences then without characters like Wrecking Ball. And I think that's a beautiful answer. I love it. We've heard a few times recently that the hero design and balance teams are working towards reducing pain points in the game, crowd control, one-shots, etc. There has also been some criticism and observations that new heroes are much more flexible than older, more simple heroes, honest heroes. What have you learned from Overwatch 2's launch that will inform your hero design for new characters as well as reworks for older heroes? And Alec responds with, we've been revisiting some of our hero design philosophies and seeing how they line up with Overwatch 2. One of the core pillars we have when developing a new hero is counterplay in mind. Heroes should have clear strengths and weaknesses as well as a space for situational upside. Some of our recent heroes may have been doing too many things well on launch without those weaknesses to offset their strengths. As we look into the future, it is quite easy to look at the positive feedback surrounding added complexity in the hero kits and continue down that path. For us though, creating Overwatch heroes will always be about variety and making sure there are different playstyles with varying amounts of complexity. We tend to look at this over the course of the year, balancing 3 hero releases so that there is a healthy mix of playstyles. So yeah, you know, I mean, I kind of tweeted this meme out. I remember when Ramatra was launched, but Ramatra's got a ton of abilities and then Cassidy's got like, what, 2? It's like, what is this? You know, yeah, there is definitely... the heroes are getting more complex, and obviously Blizzard don't want to just keep making them more and more complex with tons of abilities and transforming kits and all of that stuff. You know, I would probably go out on a limb and say I don't think we're going to see another hero with a number of abilities that Ramatra's got for a very long time. I think they will step back and make the heroes kind of a bit more streamlined. I think if anything, Kiriko was fantastic as the first hero in Overwatch 2 because she sort of set the precedent for the way heroes would be designed in this game, I think. You know, very fluid, fun to play, great. Okay, Kiriko still does too many things. Kiriko is too powerful, but those things can kind of be dealt with in balancing after the sort of launch of the hero. But I think in terms of a flow and a gameplay, fantastic hero design. So yeah, you know, Blizzard are not going to make stupidly complex heroes, but they're also going to try and make unique heroes, which is good news to hear this. It feels like it's super easy to progress in ranks at the moment. 4 to 6 players on my team have currently gone to GM in the past week, and none of us deserved it. So Blizzard Winter, or Gavin, responds to this and says, there are 2 issues at play here. The first is that we have reduced SR Decay this season and increased the rate that SR Decay is removed when you win games in preparation for removing this system entirely for Season 4. This means that players are reaching their true ranks more quickly than they ever have in Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 really does have a different metagame and emphasizes a different skill set than Overwatch 1 did, so it is inevitable that some players will find themselves higher ranked in Overwatch 2 than they did in Overwatch 1. The second is that our first 2 seasons had a small amount of unintentional SR deflation, so we've mostly corrected that issue in Season 3. At the highest ranks, like GM where you and your friends are, we've learned we had an inaccuracy in our formula that resulted in an overcorrection. So this is good news, right? This is the admission of, yeah, there was a bug, so you basically were ranked lower, and also the way we've been changing the matchmaker and SR and competitive and all of that stuff, is now giving you your actual rank faster, which is good news. So even though this post basically is saying none of us deserve GM, I don't know why we're here, actually Blizzard is saying, well, you do, but the game was broke before and we're slowly fixing it. So this is good news. Also, continuing on with competitive. Also, please make SR visible again. Matchmaking is miserable at the moment, and it feels like I'm getting rolled every game. I'd love to know if I suck or if it's the matchmaking. In Season 4, we're removing SR Decay, meaning that in most cases, your SR and your MMR will be the same, so this should directly help with this issue. We're also working on a way to display the percentage of players in your division that you are ranked higher than, so you have a more accurate picture of your progress ranking up. So yeah, I don't think SR is ever coming back as a visual indicator of rank, but this is good news here that they're saying they're working on a way to display the percentage of players in your division that you are ranked higher than, so you have a more accurate picture of your progress to ranking up. That's pretty funky, and I'm all for any kind of additional information that shows actually where you are in the game rank wise. Last time we got an official rank distribution was in 2018, I think. Is there any shot we get a new distribution or confirmation that it's the same as Overwatch 2? Due to the SR Decay system we launched in Overwatch 2, our SR distribution curve was noticeably shifted left, meaning that there were more lower ranked players than higher ranked players. Most players did not play enough games for their SR and their MMR to converge. In Season 3, we made several changes that shift the curve back to the right, meaning that we moved back towards our intended distribution of ranks to begin correcting for SR's decay removal at the start of Season 4. Fortunately, our MMR distribution curve, MMR being the value we use to make matches, has remained the same, meaning that our ability to predict outcomes and make best matches, we can remain unchanged. Many have noticed that games in Overwatch 2 are often very one-sided. Most of the community seem convinced it's caused by poor matchmaking, but is it? How much of it is actually a byproduct of faster and more punishing gameplay in Overwatch 2? Are you looking at ways to make matches feel fair outside of adjusting the matchmaking? It's certainly a complex issue, but we do suspect that some aspects of Overwatch 2 can lead to the game feeling more one-sided than Overwatch 1 did in some cases. We've been looking at all sorts of issues that affect how one-sided our games feel. We know that levers cause matchmaking to feel bad in quick play because our priority is to get a player into a match as quickly as possible. And this doesn't always mean the player that is backfilled is as good a fit for that match as the one that left. We think we can improve our process here in the future. Addressing more punishing gameplay specifically, we know that getting back spawned or spawn killed if your spawn room just shut down due to an objective capture are bigger swings since we have fewer heroes in a match. We're working on a solution for these issues for Season 4. We also know that there isn't a silver bullet for solving the issue of one-sided matches, but we're attacking the problem from several angles simultaneously. What are you doing about match levers? They're constantly ruining metal rank games. Can we have a harsher punishment? We agree that we can do more to disincentivize leaving games, especially at the end of competitive seasons. We're considering making ranked penalties partially carry over from season to season, and we'd like to make sure that leaving games is never optimal for progressing challenges, regardless of whether you're in ranked or unranked. Junkrat has been a menace in pub tier metal ranks for years, stretching into Overwatch 1. That's a bit of a statement, what the hell? But it seems he's just become a gigantic pain in the ass for every single level of play. The mind change helped with some of his more salt-inducing one-shots, but are there any further changes the team is considering? Junkrat has moved quite a bit since his latest nerf 2 weeks ago, down 3 to 4% at both the highest ranks and the metal ranks. We understand that there are further pain points in his kit though. One change we'd like to make, but it will take some additional tech, is Junkrat's grenades have a smaller hitbox after bouncing off a wall. We believe that type of change would alleviate a lot of pain points when facing Junkrat and still keep his gameplay rewarding. No timeline though, as it involves multiple teams. Now that's really cool. So a future nerf for Junkrat is going to be, if your bomb bounces off a wall from your primary fire, it will actually get smaller, the hitbox. I'm sure the visual will remain the same, but the hitbox of the actual grenade will get smaller. So when he is blind spamming around corners, that's going to allow you as the person being spammed more leeway to just get out of the way, which I think is actually quite a nice change, that is. I feel like the community sometimes loses patience waiting for balance changes because they do not fully understand what you are doing behind the scenes to balance the game and or create new heroes, and therefore how long it needs to take. What are the different roles in the team, the methods and the timeline for the typical work y'all do? You know what, I'm English, so every time I see y'all, I just want to go, y'all out from the south, y'all, and it's so bad. It's like I'm out of an episode of Dallas in order to balance the game. And Alec responds to this and says, I love these type of questions, so it depends on the types of changes we want to make. Let's use 2 changes as an example. Orissa's recent Fortify nerf 125 to 75 and something like Brig's upcoming ultimate rework. I'm going to try and answer this without revealing too much about the changes. Say we wanted to just do a seemingly simple change like the Orisa Fortify nerf. It'd start with the balance team making a decision, then informing other groups, for this usually our producer, Q&A, live ops, that a change is coming and will require a hotfix. Then a designer would go into Orisa's scripts, make the change and submit. At that point, Q&A and live ops are notified. Q&A tests the change to make sure it's all good, and live ops will then get the build process going. We usually see that hotfix occur the next day, so overall, a small change like this takes about 2 days. Critical changes can happen faster, but hotfixes have a chance to introduce a small amount of instability. Now, for the Brig rally changes. These are changes that do involve other teams, so we may start off with a similar origin point. Design wants to make a change. This change could involve various art disciplines such as VFX, modeling, etc., or sound. So now it's important to see where we can fit on their calendar. Design mocks up the change, shows it to art and sound, so we can get an estimate of how big the ask is, and then hopefully slots the change in for a future season. Since our other disciplines are working on so many things, such a change may not happen the next season or even the season after. It's dependent on how big your ask is, how much lead time design is giving the affected teams, how much bandwidth those teams have, and ultimately how high of a priority the change is. That process can take anywhere from a month to 6 months, so we have to be forward looking and work together constantly in order to deliver new things to the community in a timely manner. And I feel tired just reading that. So there we go, everybody. That is the Q&A or the AMA over on Reddit. Now, we didn't get any additional information on Mercy, which I think we were kind of promised and then it never materialized. Now, it's possible it might do. Apparently, there are issues with Reddit, so some of the responses have maybe not been posted, and maybe we can pick up on them in the future. But I still think there's a decent amount of information there in this Q&A. Like, I do enjoy these because it gives us like a burst of information from specialists within Team 4. So the people we've been actually getting responses from are essentially Josh No, who's the lead balance designer, Alec Dawson, who's the lead hero designer, Tess, who is the associate game designer, or one of the associate game designers, Winter, who's a system designer. And that's the kind of, you know, this is good, right? These are specialized people, so they give you very specific answers. It's better than just like, you know, pulling in Aaron Keller or like the, you know, some sort of high up person and expecting them to have the answers for everything, because of course they won't. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening and watching the video. Do let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this stuff. And yeah, I think there was some good stuff there, some nice tidbits of information, and yeah, can't wait to find out more. All right, guys, catch you on the next one. See you soon.